My name is Luca. I'm otherwise called Nazrav on this ASMR channel. And yeah, this is my first attempt at making ASMR. I haven't yet decided if I will soft speak like this or just whisper with this voice. We'll see about that. I'm a student in Belgium. I do Slavonics, I think that's correct. So it's like the Russian language and the Eastern European and Southern European culture. Yeah, let's just get right into it. I think that's the best way to begin doing this. I'm mainly going to make content about Russian literature, which is one of my biggest interests in life at the moment. I also write a lot, my own books, also in the Russian realism genre a bit, but more in a modern little coat. It's more cozy and still has the pure raw damage that the Russian literature can bring you. I'm not so good in speaking English since I haven't really practiced it for a couple of years now. And I'm also quite busy with learning Russian, of course, so I'll try my best to explain things properly. My primary language is also Dutch, so yeah. The books I have are also in Dutch then. So let's begin. The first book I have is The Hero of Our Time from Mikhail Lermontov. Yeah, this is probably my favorite book. I got it from my teacher last year at the end of the year for my 6th year graduation here in Belgium. And she gave this to me on the Proclamation Day, which was really generous of her to give me something. I really didn't expect her, but she pulled my arm and gave me this together with a little postcard that she puts right here between the cover and the first page. But yeah, A Hero from Our Time. It's about a guy, Petchorin, and yeah, it's probably the first psychologic roman from Russia. And I think not too many people have read this that interest themselves in Russian literature, but I highly recommend it since it's after Yevgeny Onegin, which we'll get to in a sec. It's probably one of the fundamentals of a big theme in Russian literature that also comes back, and for example, Yevgeny Onegin, but it came first, and then also Oblomov from Goncharov, and tons of other books and themes. It always comes back actually. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. If I'd go to an island and I could only bring one book, it would be this one. It is built in different chapters, like little stories that are spread throughout the book. And I think my favorite is Princess Mary, since it's very exciting. So yeah, next one, as I said, Yevgeny Onegin from Alexander Pushkin. Here you have it in Russian. This is a special edition from the Russische Bibliotheek, the Russian library, from Van Oorschot, the publisher. I think it makes some really good page turning sounds. Yeah, just going through this. Since that's this like these ribbed pages, they're not cut perfectly. I hope you can hear it. So, if I could bring 2 books to that stupid island, I'll bring this one as well. It isn't actually so thick, but it's in poetic form. So it's poetry, like this. In strophes, I know it's called in English. It's like 200 pages in total in Russian, and in Dutch as well. And luckily they have a Dutch translation, because I only read in Dutch, as you can hear from my bad English. And the cool thing about this version is that it has a Russian version, the original version, next to the Dutch one. So I can really learn Russian from this a little bit, and it's probably my goal to be able to read the classic written things, mainly poetry from like Pushkin and Zhukovsky, because they are not translated in English or in Dutch, especially not in Dutch. And the thing is, with poetry, they can't actually perfectly translate it, or it's just a very hard thing to do, because you gotta keep the rhyme scheme, and you can't really take all the emotion with you when you translate it. So that's a bit, yeah, it's a pain to translate poetry. This work from Pushkin's biggest work, next to a ton of others that are really worth reading. It's about Yevgeny Onegin. He's a young man in the typical Russian world in the 1800s, and his uncle dies, and he gets his land. And then he makes a friend. He falls in love. It's quite of a typical story, but it was quite special for the Russian world in that time, since they didn't really have a written language, an official language, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I've actually did the research. And yeah, Yevgeny Onegin is kind of Pushkin in a way, and it's really cool to see, as a young writer myself, how Pushkin has kind of the same issues only 2 centuries ago. So I can really get into the book deeply, and that's why it's on my top 3 picks as well. Yeah. I also have another version of it. That's this one, with his signature here, A.S. Pushkin. And here as well, it's 3 books with all of Pushkin's works. And it's kind of old, but it's in quite a good condition. And here you can read it on the first page. Poeti Yevgeny Onegin. Dramatические So yeah, this is just the original work in full Russian. I can maybe do like a reading video soon. If you guys want that, just put it below in the comments. Then I'll do that, because it's good training for me as well to read faster, which is pretty hard if you don't know the words. Try it in your own language. It's really hard to just read letter by letter and then form words. But yeah, I have this version as well. Okay, my number 3 pick is Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky, Notes from the Underground. Aantekeningen in het ondergrondse, uit het ondergrondse in Dutch. This is an edition from the Atheneum from the Netherlands. It's about a ambtenaar, I know what's in English. A guy who used to work, and his verse is like philosophy about the world, and this book is written against what to do from Chernyshevsky, I think, which Tolstoy wrote as well, what to do, and Lenin also. Chernyshevsky was the first one, and Chernyshevsky's purpose in this book, he wrote it in jail, and he wrote that the Russians should find joy, and that the purpose of living was to be rational and just follow the rules of the society, of the Russian society, and that was the right way of living. So what to do what you have to do as a citizen. And then Dostoevsky wrote this a year later, I don't know, in I think 1836, and so it's pretty early in his writing career, and he wrote this little book of like 174 pages about a man who's nameless. He has a philosophy that kind of attacks everyone in society, especially Russian society, with their rationalism, and that he has an enlarged consciousness, and that he knows that he's smarter than the others, but he still gets treated disrespectfully, and how he is a poisonous man. And then there's a story where you really see the downfall of the person, and see the philosophy applied to his real life. Yeah, I think that's deep enough for this video. Next up, I have a couple random works. I picked up a book box in the thrift shop like 2 weeks ago, and this is the box. It says Russische meesterwerken, so Russian masterpieces. And it comes in 8 pieces with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different writers. It's like the big names together with some more recent names as well. And I'll show you the 8 books, but pretty fast because we're already 15 minutes in with my garbage. So let's go. We'll start with the first book. They're all red and very aesthetically pleasing, together with my Pushkin. Lady of Spades, I think that is in Russian, in English, but in Dutch it's Schoppenvrouw from Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin again. All these books are like, I don't know the word right now, but they have like multiple stories in them, so it's not just the story on the cover. And Schoppenvrouw I have read, Spades lady thing. It was enjoyable as a story. It was pretty well written for modern standards, and I think for its time that was really good. It's really enjoyable. And the other stories are pretty well known as well. I don't know what they're called anymore. Yeah, here's Lady of Spades. Lady of Spades and other stories. Oh, here you have it. You have Dubrovsky, Lady of Spades, the Snowstorm, the Postmaster, the Mailmaster, and the Widow of Peter the Great. De Freulensbrunnetje en de Moor van Peter de Grote. I know it says in English, but they're pretty well-known stories. The Freulensbrunnetje, and it's 3 stories. They're like from Belkin, the stories of Belkin or something. They were really, appraised by Tolstoy. So we have this one. Then we also have one of my favorite books of all time. This is actually my first Russian book that I have read, and this was last year only. I finished it and started reading it almost. And it's Gogol Dead Souls. Pop-up. I really love this book. It's phenomenally written, but it doesn't end. Like literally, it's not figuratively that I'm telling you this, but it doesn't end. Gogol Nikolaevich Gogol, I think. He was also at the beginning, together with Pushkin, of Russian literature, and he wrote this prose, kind of thick, like 300 pages of content, I think. And yeah, makes some good plastic sounds. And this book talks about Chichikov, who goes around by people trying to buy off or just get for free the souls of their dead farmers, of different landlords. And he travels around, and it's a bit based on the Divina Commedia. Oh, my apologies. The rightful owner left some shit in this. But what was I saying? I don't remember. He goes around. It's based on the Divina Commedia from Dante. I don't know if you know it. It's probably one of the biggest pieces of literature in European history. It's a bit like the Bible. And it's also based on the Odyssey. He rewrote it a bit, is really funny. Gogol has a very good character. I also have a book here that I have under my cell phone, my phone I mean, to record, and it's the stories from Petersburg, St. Petersburg, I think in English, and it had slided coats on the nose and stuff, and I've read those, and they're really funny, and they have some good satirical truths to them. And then you have Gogol Dead Souls, where to my name is also referring with Nazarov, which is one of the antagonists in this book. But yeah, it's really heavy though, so it's not for everybody. Of course, with all these Russian books, it's the same. They're really heavy always, mainly, and they're heavy in their realism. So he can talk about a salon table for 20 pages and nothing else happens, and I love that. So there we go. Dead Souls. Third one, Turgenev, Three Portraits and Other Stories. I haven't read this one. I have read again one of the stands of the camera. Even Turgenev, First Love. Didn't really enjoy that one. It's really well written, but it was a short story, so I won't tell anything. Won't say too much about it. About the style from Turgenev, it's a good short story, that's it. I am not in love with it, not in love with First Love, not too much in love with Turgenev, but it's still very well written. I haven't peeked into this book yet too much. I've also read, which is also here, the 5 Hunter stories. That one I liked more. It was pretty enjoyable, but First Love, not my cup of tea. It felt really platonic, like the characters weren't that deep, not deep enough for me. And it's kind of the bright side of Russian literature. Not dramatic enough for me, but good plot twist, if there is one, of course. Okay, next up, this big fella, Crime and Punishment from Dostoevsky. I also have another version here, or there in my box. I have a ton of books. Misdaad en Straf in Dutch. I'm sure you all know this one. So I won't go over it too much. I haven't actually read it fully yet, because I think it's so mainstream that I just keep putting it back in my closet. But I will read it very soon. The book I'm reading right now is also from Dostoevsky. We'll get into it in a bit as well, and then I'll tell you about that one. But this one is on the list as well. Or maybe some page turning. It's very big. Maybe I can read the first sentence in Dutch. Begin juli. Het was een buitengewoon warme dag. Verliet een jonge man tegen de avond het kamertje dat hij in de S-zijstraat in onderhuur betrok en liep langzaam, enigszins besluiteloos, in de richting van de K-brug. Gelukkigerwijs had hij op de trap een ontmoeting met zijn verhuurster weten te ontwijken. En zo. It's really well written. It was very deep. Then I have a book from Tolstoy, I have to also in here. I do not have Anna Karenina in this video, but I do have the book. Yeah, the Kreutzer Sonata. I don't know what it is in English. Probably something similar. It's a piece, of course. I think it's violin. It's the fifth part. Yeah, I don't really need to talk about Tolstoy, I think, because everyone already knows him, and he's really good at writing. I really enjoy his work. I have read The Cossacks from him, which I have here as well. And I have read The Death of Ivan Ilyich, which are, well, yeah, The Death of Ivan Ilyich is probably one of the corner pieces of the fundamentals of Russian literature. Like, if you know anything about Russian literature or literature, you've probably heard about The Death of Ivan Ilyich. But yeah, this one we have. Then third last, Chekhov, The Bride, and tons of different other stories. He wrote mainly short stories. I also have some of his other books, but I've actually never read him, and I really need to do that. Then Gorky, from my childhood. I also have The Mother from Gorky, and it's really well written. And I also have Foma Kordiev, which I'm probably going to read first when I get into it more. But he's like a more unknown name, so definitely read this one, people. And then the last one is Maximov in Quarantine. So this one is written like 1900 something. It's more recently written. And like the second to last one, which is, it's kind of chronically ordered, these books. And Gorky is 1900, and Maximov is mid-1900, I think. It's actually, yeah, it's obviously more noir. I don't know too much about it. I've also seen other works from him, like The Seven thing, Filmian, but I think this one is really good. It's about people that get stuck on a train, and then they get to meet each other and talk, and then problems form. So it's kind of got that essential murder mystery vibe, which I do not like from the corny stuff, but only the essential. Then the book is finished. Getting into the other books here. We have the special editions from Van Oorschot, Charms. I think he was called Yuri. Can't remember actually. Maybe it's in here. Daniel Charms. But I think that was an alter ego pseudonym. And he wrote during the Stalinistic period, and of course all these Russian literature books have been living and brought up under really hard censorship. much while I'm reading. That's not so good for the fun. It has White Knights, Netoshka, Niesvanova, Small Hero, Uncle's Dream, and The Village Stepanshikovo and its citizens. These versions are like hardcover, but they actually bend a lot, but they're really nice. I have this humongous pile here right now, and I don't want my books to fall over. If one page crinkles, I'm dead. So, Tolstoy, the Cossacks, this is that. Very good. I love it. 160 pages of fun. Why is it so short? Make it longer, please. I really enjoyed it. It was about Olyanin, who fought in the Caucasus, and that is like a hero from our time. Was also in the Caucasus. I forgot to say that. In like the mountains and stuff in Georgia. In Georgia. And yeah, this has a couple more books, and Olyanin is like it's actually just Tolstoy's life a little bit. It's autobiographic, biographic, and but with made up stuff, of course, to fill it in, make it more interesting. But it's about Olyanin as a person of high status. He's like from Adel, and yeah, he decides to go to war as a soldier against the tribes, the Chechen and the Cherkessian tribes. Cherkessian, I don't know, it's still a country now. Great Cherkessia, I don't know. But it's like you're from our time, but he tries to put it more real, but still pretty poetically written, so it's really beautiful. And there's also a character in it, Lukashka, so I'm just acting corny. It's a good book. This also has like I don't know what's in English, stories teacher.